Hey guys, and welcome back to Redstone Science. In this episode, we will be talking about the different states of, blocks. Now, when we're talking about redstone, there are two states, the very clear and obvious, off and on. But when we talk about blocks, there are actually three states. We have off, on, and source. In very simple terms, a source block, much like a water or lava source block, will spread its signal into the adjacent blocks. Over here we have an example of what might be another basically understood concept. This is off and this is on, right? But in this case we're actually looking at the quartz block, and this quartz block is actually on. You can see in the back here it has a redstone dust attached to the block, so there is a signal coming into it, and output devices, much like redstone lamps, are able to detect it. However, that signal does not spread to any of the redstone adjacent to it. In this case, obviously, it is on, but it is also a source block, so that power that is being fed into it is bleeding into the redstone all around it. You can see over here I use a repeater. Now repeaters turn any block in front of it into a source block. So if we look at this example here, let me grab a repeater. This was supposed to be set up this way. I guess I forgot it. So say you have this line underneath, and this is working independently of this signal coming over here, and you want to turn on a lamp like this. So if you use a redstone repeater, it's going to power the block into a source block, and then it's going to power the redstone underneath. If that's something you don't want to have happening, then you're going to have to use something like a piece of redstone. What that will do is power the block without turning it into a source block. So the redstone lamp will turn on, but it won't bleed into other blocks adjacent. Over here we have a few examples of different times that source blocks are created. Over here you have a lever up against the side of a block, and this works much in the same way as a button does. What will happen is the button itself acts as though it is a source block, so we can get rid of that for now and get rid of that one too. So even though there's a clear length from the button to this piece of redstone, technically this button takes up that whole block, and so does this redstone, and they are directly adjacent to each other. So this button, acting as a source block once it's been pressed, it powers the redstone below as well as any redstone adjacent to it. Now, since the block behind it is a source block, just in the same as examples previous, like over here, it's going to power redstone all around. And I just have this block up here to separate that, because clearly this line, it will be powered assuming that either one of these points are powered. So I have that there just to show you that they are different. They're not attaching to each other. They have nothing to do with each other. And yet they all still get powered, right? So over here, another example, a lever on the bottom of a block. This this also is like a trip hook. Trip hooks will also act in the same way. This, however, is the only example from underneath being fed into a source block. So get rid of that. Much the same way, the lever is acting as a source block, powering any redstone adjacent to it, and it's powering the block above into a source block, which again powers the redstone around it. So here we have the example of a lever on top of a block. Again, anytime the lever is attached to any surface of a block, it'll turn it into a source block. So through that block, it is powering the redstone. Again, the redstone consumes the whole block space, so it will technically be considered as being adjacent to this block. So it gets powered and powers the redstone lamps underneath. Now this works exactly the same as a pressure plate would. So if we stand on here and kind of take a peek, you can kind of see the lamps are on. You can kind of see it there. We'll try it one more time. There, you can see it. So those pretty much cover all your input devices. But over here we have a couple examples with redstone torches. You'll notice that there are one particular difference. I used a different colored block, in particular the charcoal block, to signify that the signal that the torch, the signal of the block that the torch is on, is actually inverted from the torch itself. So if we were to, well, you could see all this redstone is on. If we were to power the block behind the torch, and you can see that the block is powered by the redstone lamp, all of the redstone turns off because it's being powered by this torch. Now, as before in the past examples, the block directly above a torch will turn into a source block. So once again, that will power redstone in any position adjacent to the block. And a torch, of course, will also power redstone directly adjacent to it. Yeah, just like that. And over here, I have the same setup, but just with the torch on top of a block. So you can see here, when I power the block, those all turn off. And just as before, the block above turns into a source block, and all redstone adjacent to it gets powered. So that will be all for this episode. I hope that helps you guys figure out probably why a couple of things might not be working for you. If it does, let me know. I'd love to see what you guys come up with because of it. I'm hitting the wrong buttons, and I will catch you next time.